This week, I turned some of my old images into videos using the most popular image-to-video models on the market right now. I wanted to see how good the technology was, so I came up with a little experiment. It's quite straightforward. I load up an image into the model, run it with and without a prompt a few times, and then select the best output. So let's jump straight into it.
So for the experiment today, I've tried 4 different models from Kling, Runway, Minimax, and Luna AI. Kling and Runway have their best models look behind a paywall. So I've actually put a little bit of money behind it so you can see the output, and that's why I've used here as the best output from their models. Now, the output around this I found as being different every single time. You can run the exact same prompt, the same picture, the same import, click generate, and you get a different output every single time. Now, this just makes it really expensive, and you can find that actually the output takes 5 or 6 or 7 generations before you even get one that is actually usable. Sometimes you get lucky and the first one is really good, but for this, each one of the ones you see here take about 5 to 10 different outputs before this was ultimately the best I could get out of it. Now, if you really wanted a really good output, you would have to run the single image through multiple times. If you're using Kling or RunwayML, then what you're going to have happen is you're going to run out of credits, and you're going to have to spend more credits, and it can get really expensive really fast. So let's try and look now at what happens when, because this one used a prompt, let's try when I don't use a prompt. So this is what happens when you provide just a reference image and don't provide a prompt. Minimax and Kling AI did pretty well, I must admit. However, as you can tell, Luna AI and RunwayML, maybe if I did a few more generations, it would have provided a better output. But as you can really tell, the output is not really useful. I changed to a totally different person in Luna AI, and my face completely disappears in Minimax, and the consistency between each of the frames, it just doesn't look consistent. And to be honest, it looks like it is AI generated. So shout out to Kling AI and Minimax for this one. They did really well considering there was no prompt. This is a different type of image. As you can see, it's a side profile of myself in Turkey a couple of years ago, and I thought it would be a good challenge. I gave a simple prompt of me turning around. I think Minimax and Kling AI really stuck to that, and their models really actually take the prompt into consideration, even if the output suffers as consequence. As you can kind of see, I think Kling AI and Minimax kind of morphed me into someone totally different, whereas RunwayML, it definitely keeps my character. As you can see, I think if I was to pick one of these outputs, Runway actually takes the cake here. It did a really nice output. It wasn't too much, it wasn't too little. It really just animated the photo, which honestly is kind of what I was looking for in this output, and that's exactly what I got. And to be honest, I think Runway only took about 3 or 4 generations to get this quality. So the no prompt resulted in similar results to the first one, which is that RunwayML seemed to have the best output. All the models, when they start to show your face, it definitely isn't me, as you can easily tell. So later on, when I show my face a bit more, it actually does a better job of keeping consistency. So for me, I think RunwayML, with keeping my face away from the camera the whole time, provides just a nice output, and it adds a little bit of motion, but again, not too much motion. So this is me at the zoo. It's a bit of a different image. It has me in the forefront and some animals in the background, and I wanted to see which model could actually interact with both of them. I think RunwayML does the best here. Again, this is Gen 3 Alpha, not Gen 3 Alpha Turbo model, which is their free model. Kling AI, of course, 1.5 is their paid model. Again, they have their version 1.0, which is the free version. Now, Luna AI didn't really do much in terms of the animals. It just kept them quite simple, and to be honest, that works. It did happen to introduce a bird randomly into the corner, as you can tell. And Minimax, again, it looked quite odd. I think one of these clips I generated, there was a car that drove in, so that was definitely interesting. But all along, I think RunwayML works really well, especially with the prompt here. So when I just uploaded the image and gave it no prompt to each model, Minimax had me talking quite a lot. Luna AI, for some reason, really screwed up my face. RunwayML took a lot of creativity in terms of the output. So you can see here, it created a whole new zoo, different animals came out of nowhere. And then Kling AI just had this random bird up here. But to be honest, I think Kling AI works best here. It kept my face in the shot, consistent as well, and the random bird was actually quite funny. It had no head, so I don't know what was going on there, but I think Kling AI definitely takes the cake in this one. And last but not least, me on the beach. Minimax had me following the prompt really well. Again, the arms looked a bit odd, but against the other models, which didn't even adhere to that, didn't put my arms whatsoever, I think Minimax gets a few points here. Luna AI, not really a fan of it. Again, turned my face inside out and had me looking at the ocean, which I guess is quite cool if I had the motion to go with it, but a bit scary when I'm actually not moving my body. RunwayML didn't do too bad. Again, you could see my face, which wasn't ideal. It doesn't know what I look like. I had no reference image, so when it showed my face, it clearly wasn't me. And lastly, Kling AI, I think did really well. It kept my position there, but it simulated the waves, and the waves looked really well. So Kling AI, again, I think is a really clear winner here. And like all the other images, I ran this through it without prompt just to see what each model would come up with. Minimax, I think, was really good here. It did a bit of a slow motion effect, which I really like, and kept me in frame and didn't do too much motion, which overall actually really worked. Luna, I have no idea what it was doing. This was probably the best output that I got. The other ones were also just as interesting, let's put it that way. RunwayML did an alright job. I don't really like it here compared to Minimax and ultimately Kling AI. As you can see, Kling AI did an alright job. It animated me a bit more than Minimax, and again, it had a bit of a slow motion thing going on for it.
So pricing with image to video models is quite complex. So it's all token based, which means depending on the video duration, the quality of the model that you use, and the number of outputs will depend on how many credits you use every time you generate one of the videos. So I drew a bit of a table just to show the complexity here. As you can see on the very right, you'll have the cost per video. Now, this is done based on a single monthly contract with each of these different platforms, which is the highest cost. If you could subscribe to their annual plan, you'll get either a cheaper price or you'll get more credits for it. So this price will then eventually be lower. Now, free is great, and all of these different platforms offer you free different models to use. However, RunwayML and Kling only have their premium models through a payment plan. So you have to at least buy a month before you access to them, which is what I did for these videos. So let's jump on to the ranking. So I split the ranking based on 4 key areas. So customization options, quality of the output, how fast the output generated, and of course the pricing. Now, if we look at customization options, you'll notice that they all give you the ability to prompt, which is arguably the most important customization option. Prompts have a dramatic effect on the output, and you can tell the difference based on my images where I didn't actually even provide an output at all. It just kind of went its own direction. Now, Kling AI also allows you to write negative prompts, which kind of allow you to control what doesn't appear in the video. It kind of doesn't work. So you might write things like missing limbs, blurry, ugly, which of course I used a lot, among other things. And it sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't work. Now, with enhanced prompt, it's quite interesting. So it takes your prompt and makes it a tad bit more descriptive before being passed to each video. Now, I found it to be that useful. The output varied widely as you don't have control over how to enhance your prompt. So aside from prompting, some platforms like Kling also have a few more options to allow you to control the output, such as motion painting, which allows you to set the direction of things like the way a person faces, or allows you to select areas that you don't want motion to occur, which can be really quite useful. So next up, we have the quality and speed of the models. Now, this is very subjective, so take this with a grain of salt, but based on my outputs, I'd rank Kling and Minimax as the top performers. RunwayML, it's good and actually does have a few good outputs. However, I found it took several more attempts to actually get the output that I was happy with, where Luna, on the other hand, was okay. I felt the other models did a much better job in terms of quality based on the photos that I provided to them. Now, with speed, it was pretty on par across the board when you pay. However, the free models, depending on the time of day and how many others are generating videos, you'll find waiting times from 30 seconds to a few minutes to even sometimes hours at some when they're first released. So if speed is important to you, you'll definitely want to pay for at least a month for one of these platforms. And finally, we have the costing, so the price of the models. As you saw in the previous table, it can get really complex. So here I've just highlighted the most you'll pay if you pick a monthly plan and you generate one output with the best model that they have available, which is typically the more expensive option. This doesn't take into account extra free credits that they actually give you throughout the month. So the price of this will be the max you pay. RunwayML is quite expensive. Of course, going with the annual route, you'll get that 20% off per year plan, so it'll come down a bit more. Kling AI is a bit cheaper, and lastly, Minimax and Luna AI are the cheapest. The best models are free, so what you're paying for is instead the ability to generate more videos and the increase the speed of the output. So it's quite useful actually. So overall, I'd rank Luma AI 4th place, with RunwayML in 3rd and Minimax in 2nd, and finally Kling as 1st. Of course, these models evolve. This ranking will surely change, but as of November 2024, I'll be paying for Kling AI when I need to generate videos from images. Now, I'm quickly going to show you some of the interesting kind of outputs that some of these models did. So let's just jump into that. So these are some of the outputs that unfortunately didn't make it. These, of course, aren't close to the number of videos I discarded, so expect to play around with these models quite a lot. Overall, I think that image to video isn't quite there yet. You can definitely play around with it and get acceptable results, but the current price to quality is quite expensive. You have a lot of trial and error in trying to come up with better prompts, but even using the same prompt and same image will result in different output each time, so it's hard to be consistent and know if your prompt is any good. I'd say give Minimax, Kling AI, and RunwayML a go for their free models. They aren't too bad, and to be honest, you're not going to be losing anything by using them. That said, some of these platforms will train their models on your uploads, so if you're privacy conscious, you might not want to upload identifiable information. Hopefully this was helpful, and let me know in the comments if you managed to get any better results than myself.